This is an old one. Oh man.
I love this record.
I really don't like Metallica, man.
Oh, Metallica's great.
I just can't.
Metallica exists literally only to work out to at the gym. That's it.
There's no. How do you work out to this? What are you fucking?
You're just
How can
punching
you-
yourself in the chest over and over again.
Just punching yourself in the kidneys. You're timing the strokes of your bicycle to this. Your
Maybe.
pedals.
Maybe. Yeah, dude. That's how you get up to like 120 RPM.
Instead of listening to podcasts, I just every day Metallica's Kill 'Em All.
I'm a loop.
Yep. Oh god, there's you again.
Any other way. I like this album.
This is considered one of their good ones, right?
This is my favorite of theirs. It's the silliest and like the least developed, but I like that about it.
Hmm.
Oh my lord.
Part 2. Did
This is so much better than that Big Time Rush in that One Direction and that Miley Cyrus. That's real music.
Big Time Rush. I'm really glad you broke out Big Time Rush for that one.
Sip, deep sip.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, that was when music was real.
It's true though.
You remember that little girl? It was at we watched the Kids' Choice Awards like I don't know
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and there was this girl who was just like this super loud, raspy voice girl, and I think her name was JoJo. And then I became aware of her again in the past week, and I can't stop seeing her everywhere now.
Oh, whoa, weird.
Yeah, like
Just like on street corners, like in Walmart?
no, just like images of her everywhere. It's so fucking strange. Today I was at a grocery store, and there was just like a coloring book with her on it, and then like a backpack, and I'm like, this is such a weird cultural thing that I should have. I should be glossing over this.
We're already getting
experience.
We're already getting text messages from Mage.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's he sending us?
Just cute stuff.
Oh, I gotta bring up the stream. There we go.
Oh yeah, I haven't put it up yet. Did you spend an entire Tuesday watching Unlimited Blade Works? Because it's normal for me to do something like that, but I'm imagining you doing it is very funny to me.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say I spent all of my day watching Unlimited Blade Works.
Very cool.
It was
very cool.
Circumstances this past weekend since we last recorded did not allow me to watch as much as I would have wanted to, which is to say any. So last night I got home super late from doing something, and I started watching it 2 a.m. and got done at about 4:30. And then today I started watching at like 4, and then I finished right before we started talking to each other on Discord before we started recording.
Big day.
Yeah, I mean, I have a dream now. I'm going to be hero. I'm gonna be a hero of justice. I'm gonna chase after this dream with every fiber of my being.
Isn't he a champion? Isn't he a champion of justice?
I don't know. But I'm gonna chase after that dream, even though it's not my dream. It's a fake dream. It's actually literally a fake dream, and I am a fake for
that's all you can say now because they repeat it so many times in the show.
It's like the last like 6 episodes.
Yeah, one of my notes for this half of the show is like watching this gave me the feeling of when you're writing an essay in school and you keep writing, you have to write, and you keep having to write about the same concept over and over again, and you run out of different ways to say it, and you start sounding repetitive, and you feel stupid. They run out of ways to talk about saving people and ideals very quickly in this show.
Yes.
So they just
I would say a direct split in the entire second half is just about how his ideals are fake. This before we go too far, it reminded me of an anecdote where for a brief period of time I worked as a salesperson, and it's like a stereotype of like, okay, there's always that one guy that comes back and never buys anything. Like that's like a thing
yeah.
in every salesperson job. And I got shelved with him one day. Like I was stuck with him, and it got to a point where he was so helpless. I just looked him in the face and said over and over again, like, buy it, buy this thing, buy it. And he just couldn't, straight up, no fooling, just staring him dead in the face. I'm like, buy this thing. You want the thing, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. And, and then I still had to talk to him for another half an hour after that.
The fact that you weren't reprimanded for that means it was justified, which means he probably is there a lot.
Bro. it's one of those things where it's like, God, oh, I'm sorry. It's a shame that guy got stuck with that fucker today. And then I was the fucker. And I was done with it.
That's why you got to pull the old, if you buy this, everybody gonna be looking at you. Everybody gonna see you come around the corner and they're gonna go, wow.
Where does that come from?
The way I just said it came from Nick Rochefort, but what do you mean?
Like where does that person, how did they get broken in this way? What breaks the person?
The one who can't buy the thing?
Yeah.
That's just being frugal.
No, but it's like torturing yourself with it. Like he had something he wanted, and he would torture himself with it as like it might be like a masochist thing. And he would come
well,
in,
I mean, was he older? Because normally what you do is you just go online and you just stare at it and you go, yeah, I should buy that, and then you leave.
Early 30s.
Yeah, early 30s. He's ancient. He's fucking on death's doorstep. So
yeah, I mean, he must have been senile. Must have had fucking dementia.
Who are you people?
Tell me about this. Oh, it's that much? Tell me more about it. How much does it cost? Oh,
is this the Liberty Mutual? Am I in Arby's? Is this the combination Liberty Mutual Arby's?
I was supposed to go to the VA today for cribbage.
Do you know how to play bocce? I seem to be lost. Can you play bocce?
Are you my wife? It's not funny. It's a serious problem. I opened last podcast by saying sometimes I want horrible things to happen because it's entertaining. And we opened this one by making fun of people with dementia.
For some reason, that's still okay. Even like Red Letter Media makes fun of old people.
Well, they don't. They're beholden to nobody.
Rogues.
I was upset. I was upset. I was upset when they had Patton Oswalt on. I tweeted about it. I was upset. I was so pissed. I fucking hate Patton Oswalt so much.
Yeah.
And he like
I'm not mad because he killed his wife. I just don't I'm okay with the murder. But really his personality.
Like Michael J. Fox. Or not Michael J. Fox.
Say anything guy.
Yeah. Godzilla 1998.
Ferris Bueller.
Did you know that they conceived of and funded and shot that movie inside of a year?
Which one? Movie,
Godzilla 1998.
Sure.
They made a $120 million blockbuster movie inside of a year, and it was a horrible idea. Like,
it was a great idea. It made a shit ton of money. I think
it didn't. It was a box office failure.
Oh, I thought that was a big popular. Well, Roland Emmerich is still batting above average.
Yeah.
In terms of money making.
If you get on base a third of the time, you get in the Hall of Fame. But where were we going with this? Horrible things. Speaking of horrible things that I find entertaining, very few things are bringing me more joy right now than watching the UK destroy itself It is just such
Boy.
amazing Schadenfreude.
She tried to save us. This is what she was trying to prevent.
Just complete self-destruction, and I mean, I don't even like, how does their parliament system even function? It seems like it seems like the noisiest people in the back are always the ones that make the headlines. Like it's like
that's how they put them back there.
they
too
put 'em in the back.
rambunctious.
But it's a brilliant decision because you can hear them distantly yelling, "Bad move, Boris! Bad move! Ooh, not a great first day, Boris!
Not a fan of that one."
Pulled the duck, eh, Boris?" Like just fucking screaming at him from the back of the hall, which is admittedly way more entertaining. But
they're all just docking points from Slytherin. Like, what's the banter sound like now?
Oh my god.
That's
how come they don't
most
just
other
lock everybody
parliaments.
in Slytherin up?
Aren't they smart?
No, they're racists. That's Ravenclaw's the smart ones.
But Slytherin's also smart, right? Like in a more cutting way, I think.
Their whole thing is racial purity.
Okay. I mean, just that's like wizard racial. Yeah, but I mean, they're also supposed to be like the careerists, right?
I think it's nepotism. I think a lot of it's nepotism.
Well,
it's
that's what I mean.
You get a powerful family. Yeah. But yeah, like Death Eater record, not great in that house, frankly. But anyway, what else? The UK killing itself is funny. Dementia's funny.
Established. I don't know.
This is a really cute picture. That is good. Does he just have a backlog of these? Does he just have a folder full of cute, fluffy
I can confirm he has at least 2. It's just fan art from Gochiusa.
Pretty cute.
You know that show.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of the other half of Unlimited Blade Works, the television show that aired in 2015?
I felt the first half of the second half, so the third quarter of the show, I thought was
quartile.
pretty good. The Gilgamesh fight is out of this goddamn world amazing.
Yeah.
That was just like hit with the most intense sort of shonen shonen waves of nostalgia and excitement watching that occur. I think it ended up doing way more interesting things with Archer than I thought. Obviously, it's stretched a little thin because they do it over the course of like 6 episodes. But in the back of my head, the entire time, I'm like, okay, Archer has an ulterior motive, obviously, and like that's why he aligned himself with Castor. But I didn't expect it to be for actually like self-serving purposes. I kind of in my mind had thought it was going to be a situation where he was aware of the way that these events unfolded by being from the future, and he thought the best course of action was to get in there and betray her while still maintaining, he still wants to be a good guy, and is still a good guy, but in this he obviously he does a heel turn for real, which I liked actually.
Yes, I was also wondering if he was going to be, there must be a direct other fictional character who does this exact same thing where he's from the bad timeline and he's just pretending to be bad so he can save everyone from his timeline.
There's tons of
there's so many, but yeah, I can't think of any. But yeah, it was like I couldn't. It was either he was either truly dark Shiro who abandoned his morals, which I thought was unlikely because that's what I feel like they wanted me to believe. But he turns out he was not doing some kind of wild 4D chess to save everyone from bad end. He was just truly black-pilled. Black-pilled Shiro.
It's not like he didn't actually. He aligned himself with Castor in so much as it served to benefit his cause, which I guess was legitimately to murder himself, which results in one of the greatest lines in the history of anime, which is "Kill yourself, Amiya," which is so good.
So many people being told to kill themselves in this show. I thought the best line was, "Just because you're right doesn't mean you're correct. No, just because you're correct doesn't mean you're right."
Yeah, that's a good one too. The fights are truly outstanding in this, and I love Gilgamesh's power. Unlimited Blade works as a concept, tickles something inside of me. There was in Soul Eater. There's a character who has 100 swords, and he just throws them about the battlefield.
Let me tell you about 10 times more swords, motherfucker.
Unlimited.
Well, over 1,000, he says. I mean, it's called unlimited, but really, he's created over 1,000 blades.
It's the sickest shit. It's so ill. You bring somebody into a pocket dimension so that you can fight them on your turf.
And there's just swords everywhere.
It's a great image, and it's the fight there is amazingly. And like we at a certain point, like it had been pretty on model until this point, but we go a little bit off model once Shiro starts moving really fast, which I like, and it has like that kind of speed blurriness to it as far as like the way he's animated and the way he moves, and it's the tits. It's the tits. Those fights are the tits. It's just awesome. It strikes that shonen chord beautifully. I mean, obviously, again, I'm like, holy fuck, there's no way he's going to, the rest of the show is going to be him dealing with this, but it's I don't know, it's ultimately a pretty heavy thing. I don't know if necessarily think that they resolve that internal conflict perfectly, as far as like, you know, his desire will ultimately lead to, it's fake, it doesn't lead to satisfaction, but I guess his response is that he doesn't care.
I was glad that they did that, because the whole time I was thinking like the whole conundrum of this show would be interesting if it were about the futility of carrying out what you believe is right in the face of literal certain proven failure.
Yeah.
But I was sure that they were going to pull out some bullshit that just keeps him from going that way, which would just kind of sidestep the whole issue of him having a certain fate. But then they don't pull out any crazy bullshit. They hold out the possibility that it could happen, but you're left with nothing really there. It's just like, yeah, that's going to happen. Oh, well. So that was nice.
It's interesting having it addressed, because in a lot of shonen shows, your character is like, I want to be the goodest. I want to be the goodest guy that ever was good, you know, like, and that's literally the foundation, and it's so shallow, you know, it's a very shallow foundation, and this is not the most profound deconstruction of that, but it is interesting to have a character have to face it and briefly be mind broken by the idea that the thing that drives them is maybe not valid, and have to overcome. I mean, it is a testament that in this show that has amazingly beautiful animated fight sequences, the core conflict becomes man versus self, literally, where he fights himself, but also the internal struggle that he has. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, what's not to like? What's not to like? It's like the rules don't matter. We already established the rules don't matter. Who cares?
Yes.
Mana exists as temporary, sort of like, we need a timer for this sequence because we need some tension. I think maybe Rin gets sidelined a little bit and doesn't have a ton to do. She's trapped in a basement with like.
I mean, that was for 2 episodes. I mean, she's the main. She's. I mean, think about Sakura. You know. Think of how much, there's so much fucking, this is all Rin, this whole arc. The other 2 roots are, you know, in Fate, there's just there's probably just as much Seiba as Rin is in here. And then
Seiba's also actually sidelined during the fight between the 2 Shiros,
it's not her route.
Yeah, but she could also just go like save Rin or something, but you know, and you're thinking about it in a much more, it's a straight adaptation of a, you know, a game kind of mentality than I am, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. What'd you think?
I liked it a whole lot. I spent a lot of time reading the wiki, and now I know things. Yeah, it's I don't know what else is going on. We learn a lot more about Fate Zero. Like, speaking of the rules not mattering, I don't know how. So there's Gilgamesh. I think I predicted that he was Gilgamesh. Oh, also another thing that I predicted and was wrong. Correction. I kept saying Joan of Arc last time. Seiba is King Arthur. I was incorrect there. I don't know why. I think in Fate Zero, someone thinks she's Joan of Arc and is wrong. Maybe that's where I got that. Or also Joan of Arc is in Fate Apocrypha, which is an alternate universe spin-off.
If you had sex with her, would you be gay?
She's a girl.
Okay, and in the flashback, she's a lady too.
Yeah. So it's fine. King Arthur was King Arthur even real?
No, he's a fictional.
Yeah.
I think he's a legend.
They do have a grave. That grave is real.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a strange thing is that, this show has an actual epilogue. Not like a lot of shows will have last episodes and cram like a resolution into the last 5 minutes of an episode in like a montage. This show has a proper epilogue, which I actually felt was earned and appropriate. And because I just think it's the type of show that is, in head and shoulders above a lot of other action shows, and it made sense to me to do that.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like, I think the climax of this show is episode 21, not of 25. Mm-hmm. Episode 21 is called Unlimited Blade Works.
Yes.
And it's fucking rad. 20 and 21 are both great. There's an amazing sequence in 20 where Shiro is standing behind Kid Shiro and Archer's standing behind him. And it's fucking, get right there. And it's fantastic. And then 21 it's like he's fighting himself in 21 and then he beats himself, and then we move on to Gilgamesh, who wants to murder the world because everyone's too happy. So we've moved on to a slightly less sympathetic villain.
I was thinking, I'm like, holy shit, we're here already when he's fighting Archer. Archer, like, you would think he would be the ultimate big bad. Like, you think that would be
the opening, which I was waiting for Brave Shine, better opening than first half, very good, and it's all Archer. It sets him up as the final guy.
Boy, I immediately felt like an idiot because like when we watched Karafuru, I got that. I was like, okay, I got the twist, and then you're like, okay, somehow I managed to miss it.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck did I not realize this?
Realize what?
It was like immediately. I didn't realize the Archer, the Archer Shiro twist. That they were the same person. Like we were discussing in the last episode.
Oh, did I actually just get it on you?
Yeah,
did I spoil? Oh.
And then I watched the next episode, and it's like forecasted even heavier than it's ever been up until that point. Well,
I wonder if all twists are like that. Maybe they're all that easy to tell unless you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the enjoyment of rewatching some media. Is like, oh my god, how you feel like a complete asshole because they sow the seeds so beautifully. But I mean, what else we got going on?
I have questions here. Let's do lightning round. I got questions for you.
Okay,
give me your best intuition.
I won't have answers. Okay.
Why she put Saba in a slutty wedding dress?
I don't know. I like it though.
I liked it a lot. It was a compromising position.
It's not even just the slutty. It's the being bent over very sexually with like the dress hiked up over her ass.
Oh.
Compromising for sure.
It's what'd you think of Atram Galeasta?
Which one was that again?
He's the guy who snaps his fingers and all his whores laugh on command for him.
Oh.
Castor's original master.
Oh, right. That flashback sequence.
Yes, we get second half is a lot of, now that everyone seems really bad, we're going to make them sympathetic by giving them backstories.
Right.
So we get Ilya backstory, Berserker, which, we got to talk about that too. But Castor's.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Castor's master was a ladies' man with a lab full of women that he melted for mana.
He melting kids. I mean, you couldn't come up with a more comically over-the-top evil contraption than something that literally just melts children for power.
Yeah, I bet Fate Zero outdoes that somehow, Urobuchi. I bet there's just more like human destruction machinations.
His comeuppance was pretty good though, in that he's not just like crushed. It's instead like he's trapped, which I think is appropriately brutal. What I mean, he's kind of an unbelievable monster to a degree, like, but and also, why are these hoes just going along with it? How are these girls just like, yeah?
That's the ultimate question I've always had about like pimps. It's like you have to be like, imagine how rich and how good at sex you have to be for a bunch of women to just like lays around you and do things when you snap.
I mean, I've got one of those down.
Yeah.
I just have to make the money thing happen. But yeah, no, like you get a bunch of complete sociopathic monsters to work in your lab melting kids for you? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Castor is Medea, by the way.
Yes.
I think she had a family reunion.
I don't know anything about that.
That was a Medea joke. That was a Tyler Perry.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about.
I don't know any of these historic. I mean, they're not. None of them are actually real. That's the thing is. That's what made me realize she's not Joan of Arc, because none of these historical figures. These are all legends. None of them are actually real people.
And the only one that they really address is, and again, it's a magical world, so like that makes sense that these things actually might have existed, but in this world. But Assassin brings it up at one point, is that he is the embodiment of this character ideal.
Yeah, you don't have to be a real person. You can be from an archetype or whatever story.
For a character that only ever exists on that staircase, I really did get a lot of enjoyment out of Assassin.
Yeah, he has the 10 minutes he's on screen are good. So it's all right, I'm fine with Assassin.
Yeah, and they had to resolve their thing from when their fight was abridged earlier.
Good foil for Saber, because he's just another dude who's also very honorable, very loyal.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, so we got to talk about Ilya.
Once again, Japanese and Anglos just shaking hands.
Yep.
Hold on, we'll get to Ilya. Oh, we're at Ilya. So, yeah, and towards the end of episode 14, I'm still calling him handsome, but he's Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh and Bazaka are about to go. And I write, I don't think this ends well for Ilya, judging by the gifts I've seen over the years. So, yeah, episode 15 is when we get, we see lots of spears from Gilgamesh and a big old flashback. So Ilya's mom knew Kiritsugu. This all has to be Fate Zero. She died in the last Grail War, apparently betrayed by Kiritsugu. I'm sure we'll get his side of the story. And now Ilya talks to a weird ghost lady and a wizard. And it turns out they go through this kind of quickly. I think I sort of get it, but it's more of this just like weird. It turns out none of these rules are really rules, and it's all just weird experiments and groups and science and weird just people doing magic for 1,000 years. So the maids that she has in her castle are all clones to bring about the Grail, and Ilya is like sort of one of them, but she's like better. She's like the last order of them or something. And it's a flashback, and she gets Berserker, and I was worried for a second. They were like, "We're gonna begin linking you to Berserker." I was like, "Uh-oh," but they did. It's probably they just do a magic thing. She gets attacked by wolves, and that's how she became buds with Bazaka. And
oh my god, not an easy life for this girl.
No, I assume it's even more brutal in Fate Zero. But then yeah, they have a really long fight, and Gilgamesh comes out on top.
Something that this show.
Go ahead.
Something that this show absolutely loves to do is character is dead, but not actually dead.
Well, yeah,
it does one last final move, and they're like, "Oh wow, you're very impressive that you even managed to withstand that." Like this show lives and dies on that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's people walking away from fights and that, yeah. At one point, I don't even like. It's 100% earned, which is that's better than not doing cliche things. Is doing extremely cliched things when they're 100% earned. And when Gilgamesh screams, "I can't believe I have to go all out," I was like, "Fucking hell yeah, dude!" But yeah, my love for you was like a truck. Was yeah, in the UBW movie 2010, there's a very famous GIF that people will trick you into watching by making the first frame something different that maybe you'd want to click on, where Ilya's just standing there and Gilgamesh just reaches in and pulls her fucking heart out, and there's blood spurting everywhere. In this one, it's a bit more it's
tactful.
Well, no, I mean, it's a bit more sadistic. He cuts her eyes, and then she's crawling around for a bit. Then he stabs her, and then and then I was like, oh, he doesn't take the heart out in this one. And then the next episode starts like, okay, never mind. No, he got the heart. He gets it.
Her getting the eyes was like, I'm like, oh my fucking god. Yeah, it's really rough to take in. Also, meanwhile, the entire time, our characters are just off screen, like, what the fuck? Like Shiro
just runs in completely uselessly.
Gets obliterated immediately, which I thought was great because he's like so thoroughly outclassed. So delicious. Man, yeah, I kind of wanted to see more of Heracles. I thought we were going to get an opportunity for one of our characters to fight, one of our leads to fight him, but I guess
they did.
26 episodes.
No, she did. Saba fought him, like the second episode.
But really get him.
He was stronger than everyone else.
But I guess we are seeing a big a heavy taken down by this new villain.
Yeah.
With relative ease, without breaking sweat. So yeah, it makes sense narratively.
So yeah, Shinji becomes Gilgamesh's master.
Shinji becomes also a rape man.
He was already a rape man. But yeah, becomes a lot more obvious. I love Shinji so much. He's hilarious. He's just a fucking.
His voice is so crazy.
His voice is great, and he, he's the perfect that type of character where when Lancer just fucking pokes him a little bit, and he runs away.
Screams! Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
Oh, amazing!
Because like you could have Lancer kill him, and I'm like, that's dumb. But the way they ended up doing it was fantastic. Yeah, he's a coward.
Every conflict in this fucking show is like, oh man, this is it. This is the decisive battle. And it's like, oh, there's 9 more episodes. They do enlist Lancer's help. Finally, Lancer comes back. And
I ended up really liking Lancer, even though he is just kind of helpful guy. I like his kind of sass.
Yeah, he comes back as helpful guy. And he has a really good fight with Archer. That's one of the best fights. He puts the shield up. That's great.
Oh, the shield is the fucking illest.
Hell yeah. It's like a flower. And Shiro tells Lancer to not touch the Rin if they're going to team up. Here's one thing that's weird. Remember Kuzuki? Remember the teacher?
Yeah.
How could anyone love that man? How could anyone care for? I guess he saved her.
A void.
Yeah.
He's a void.
He literally explains like there is no difference between good things and bad things.
Yes.
It's his personality.
Yeah. I mean, there's no emotion in him anywhere. He just got great fists, though. He can fuck somebody up. So that's all you really need.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you beat another dude up in front of a lady, she's yours forever. I know this.
How do you know?
I know things. I have an insight into the female gender.
Future sight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me from the future came back in time to let me know I needed to prepare for a fight because I needed to get this bitch.
Don't get the new Popeye's chicken sandwich. It's way overhyped. You just disappear.
Thank you.
You're just like in RoboCop. You're just all robot except for like you have one lung and a neck and an eyeball. And you come back and you're just like, don't get the ranch, get the spicy mayo.
Don't get the ranch, or there will be trouble.
You disappear. What else happens in this show? For years, I've always noticed that Shiro was used as sort of the poster boy for anime protagonist density, just being the densest motherfucker. And that definitely comes through a lot here. Like at one point, Rin is telling him something about this pendant she has, and I wasn't really sure what she's getting at, and apparently Shiro didn't either, because he basically just fucking ignores it.
About there being 2 pendants, he's like, "Oh, that's interesting."
It's like, okay, well, let's yeah. But then when he really does find out about archery, he doesn't act surprised, so he like kind of already knew. So I guess that's fine. Get a little bit of Kuzuki backstory, but it's kind of vague. He killed someone or something. Again, Fate Zero, probably. Shiro gets really good really fast.
Because he's learning through osmosis, through archery.
It's a bit too much. In one episode, he can do the knives. He does the knives thing and it hurts him really bad. And then the next episode, he does it and it doesn't hurt at all. I don't know. Lancer is Ku Chulainn. Again, that's an Irish mythological hero.
What?
And when I heard that, I went, my people.
How do I fucking type this name?
CU space CHULAINN. Ku Chulainn.
What the fuck? If you type Ku Chulainn into Google, you just get a bunch of Lancer results.
The fucking Anglos erased our history. It was fucking Cromwell.
They dug so deep into this. Oh my god.
It's like it's like you have Heracles and Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
And fucking King Arthur, and then you have Ku Chulainn.
Jesus Lord.
The Hound of Ulster. I guess he's like, I gotta get someone from Ireland, but there's no one. I can't have a leprechaun in here. That would be silly. How about this skin-tight blue ninja man?
Come back when you're 3 years older, lady.
You'll never catch me, Lucky Charms.
This is my unbeatable spear technique.
I fashioned a spear out of... I used to be a shillelagh. How could anyone care for this man? Okay. Oh yeah, so Kuzuki he has a column fall on him or some shit.
He gets crushed real good.
Goddamn, Saba's so great.
Yeah.
We get our first actual UBWs in these episodes, where he says it. They don't really put much effort into having him say it. Correct. Unlimited blade works. He almost sounds Scottish.
I like it like that. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. I don't know if he had an unnaturally good like American accent saying that. That'd be pretty funny.
My bone is my sword.
My bone is my sword.
Or is I am the bone of my sword?
I'm the bone of my sword. Correct.
Yeah, but isn't it the inverse because his body is made of swords? Wouldn't the swords be his bones?
I'm just gonna put Unlimited Essay Works on the screen. It's been like 10 years, still funny with the sad face. I love the sad face that the teacher puts. These glasses will never teach anything. Oh man. I don't know what's going on when we finally get the full explanation reveal, and there's like this flashback or forward, I guess flash forward, and like there's a soldier Shiro and he's in some kind of vat room.
Okay. we can put this together, you and I together.
Well, we know he joins some sort of, he becomes a guardian, which is some sort of magic guy who goes through time to protect people.
Basically a merc. I think he's like a merc.
Shiro fights like ISIS, I think, canonically.
No, he's straight up just
pretty funny.
Islamic terrorists. Yeah. And then also child soldiers, it seems. Yeah. And then that's where he really started to become totally removed and
black-pilled.
Yeah. So when a character dies in the Holy Grail War, what are they really losing? Because they're just going to be brought back for another one. They're just going to
be transported immediately to
Yeah. So like they don't even know. Like
actually, I think in between they go to Avalon. I was reading this on the wiki. There's or at least Saba goes to Avalon, which is is that like an ancient, is that an old British, that's like heaven, I think, or something basically. And in the Fate route, Saba goes to Avalon, and then Shiro grows old and dies, and he goes to Avalon, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a King Arthur myth thing.
Yes.
It seems.
That makes sense. I don't know if everyone has that, though, or if it's just like, is this some kind of polytheistic universe where everyone gets their own heaven based on their shit? I don't know. I forgot to watch the OVA. There's an alternate ending OVA called Sunny Day. Probably a bit happier.
I'm going to take a pee break.
What? Okay.
I'm going to take a pee break.
All right, I'll talk with Mage.
All right.
Friendship ended with P-Boy. Mage is my best friend now. I was just reading this today and laughing. This is still pretty funny. I've ignored over 1,000 deadlines. Cracking myself up. So as I hand in unlimited essay works. I'm going to go back to this. This is my favorite screen of the entire show. Eat the fucking apple, blob boy. Eat the fucking apple, fag. She shouldn't be so happy. I think he rapes her. Like, regularly. Here's a comment from our WordPress site. Would you be interested in submitting a guest post on georgemartjr.com or possibly allowing us to submit a post to gangstalking.com? Maybe you know by now that links are essential to building a brand online. If you are interested in submitting a post and obtaining a link to gangstalking.com, let me know and we will get it published in a speedy manner to our blog. Hope to hear from you soon, George. Oh, and here's a... He back? Nope. Jack the Ripper is the manifestation of aborted fetuses. I believe you. Hello.
What? That can't be real.
In the fate? Yeah, sure. That's probably true.
Oh god.
I want to read you an email that we got at... You could send us emails like this at podcast@gangstalking.com.
Oh my god.
This is from
Audience interaction?
This is from N1GHTM4RE. I'm going to pronounce that nightmare. I think that might be some of that leet speak. Email danroos308@asselpayed.suffrage.xyz. Subject: I know you are a pedophile. Google has marked this as spam for some reason. Body: yeah, that's one sentence. I know you are a pedophile. Actually, I know way more about it than you think. I am a computer scientist, parenthetical, internet security specialist, end parenthetical, with affiliation with the Anonymous Group. A few months ago, you downloaded an application, period. That application had a special code implanted purposely. Since the moment you installed it, your device started to act like a remote desktop I was able to access anytime. The program allowed me to access your desktop, your cameras, your files, passwords, and contact lists. I also know where you live and where you work. I was observing you for quite some time, and what I have collected here is overwhelming. I know about your sexual preferences and your interest in young bodies. I have secured 4 video files clearly showing how you masturbate, captured from your camera, to young teenagers captured from your internet browser. Glued together is a pretty overwhelming evidence that you are a pedophile. The timestamps on the video files indicate the exact time you have been masturbating to teenagers. It is 4 links to our podcasts, MP4s.
What?
Just 4 random files on our website.
What? How did we get what the fuck is this? Is this a goof?
He wants 5,000 USD in Bitcoin, so you ask him if it's a goof. He puts an umlaut over USD, or not an umlaut, it's an accent.
The United States of America.
Exactly 0.49 BTC. This seems oddly, the English is oddly good in that one.
Why is it just scan our website and
of course.
It knows we're anime fans, and they're like,
no, it doesn't know we're anime fans. If you send out 1 billion of these, you're gonna get, one.
You get a pedophile.
Yeah,
yeah, makes sense. volume. Huh?
You don't need to build a fucking machine learning to search for anime. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Don't fuck kids. I ate 3/4 pound of turkey today.
Is it like 200 calories? Like, what are you bragging?
No, but like that was like the entire thing I ate. Like I had a third of a cup of rice that I already eaten half of the third of the cup, and I just like dug into it because I was so hungry because I'm out of groceries. I need to go to grocery shopping.
Oh yeah, go grocery shopping, man. Come on.
I was starving. This is literally all the food I had left. I currently have a bag of trail mix here. That's it. And I mean, it was just chewing straight through, like just pound, like 3/4 of a pound of turkey in a bowl with like a little bit, some soy sauce, some sesame.
I hope you got some fucking Metamucil, man, or something.
Some fiber. What does that mean? Oh, fiber. No fiber today.
Oh man. Ooh, go chew on some sticks or something, man. You're gonna be hurting.
I don't know. Is there fiber in trail mix anywhere?
A little bit, and raisins, yeah, I guess.
Dietary fiber. I've got 8, and I've eaten a lot of this trail mix today.
You want to get like 30.
I just bought this 2 days ago, and I have maybe it's 2 pounds of trail mix. I have maybe 2/3 of a pound left.
Sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I gotta go grocery shopping. That's where I'm at. What were we talking about? Anime.
I was talking about. I had a theory that Rin joined up with Saba, and I was thinking, the VN, is that how you get a lesbian sex scene? Probably, right? Oh yeah, we talked about Soldier Shiro. We were talking about that when they were in the middle of that. I don't know.
I think something we forgot to address right away is that the second half of the season is not at all what would have I would have thought once we finished the first half. Like, yeah, okay, we lose, one of our servants, but I didn't expect to go this dark of a direction. It is like they're fucked at the beginning of the season. They have no servants. Fucking, the Shiro just sucks at magic.
It could get darker, trust me. I read the Heaven's Feel summary.
Oh no.
I will explain later.
But yeah, that was really it. Like, I didn't anticipate it going this direction, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and the choices they made, and I think they worked really well. And I was overall very satisfied with the direction the second season took.
The Dean movie from 2010 is Unlimited Blade Works. It is 105 minutes long. And
so $1.45?
Yeah. Imagine trying to cram all of this.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't start like halfway. It's not like, what if this happened? It's the whole story.
It is all of Unlimited Blade Works?
It's all of it.
Wow. I mean, yeah, no, that's impossible.
And the reception paragraphs on Wikipedia are fucking amazing because they're barely English, and everyone is just like, this is bewildering and incomprehensible.
It was like trying to watch Galaxy XS39 was kind of like that at times, where I'm like, whoa, we just rushed through all that.
Oh sure, that was like that was almost just like a museum gallery of like, here's what you could be experiencing
right
in this show, or here's like a nice the perception of the picture by critics was restrained. The main claim to the film was its relatively short duration, which strongly affected the development of the characters, as the total screen time was reduced by 80 relative to the series. What? Reduced by 80?
What?
80 what? Maybe? Maybe percent?
Yeah, maybe.
According to the reviewers, this aspect was strongly affected by a decrease in exposure, which was shortened to 3 minutes, and the first 25 minutes were repeated plot of the whole 11 episodes of the TV series. Various critics emphasized that the story progressed very hastily, with the jumps from one scenario's scenes to another without any explanation, and with the loss of cause and effect relationships, which Todd Douglas Jr. of DVD Talk said resulted in a rushed, incomplete feeling as the story jumped from one scene to the next and one fight to the next. According to John Rose from the Fandom Post, the tempo of the narration balanced on a thin line with complete incomprehension, irritated, and did not allow to immerse into the atmosphere of the work, and during the culmination scenes, the observer considered that the creators implicitly recognized this fact and therefore diverted significantly more time battle demonstrations. More time battle demonstrations. There's no 2 in there.
So this is a quotation from...
No, the quotation ended like halfway through. The rest of that was this Wikipedia editor being fucking insane. But apparently they were just like, fuck it, we can't explain this story. We're just going to make the fights cool. But then the fights aren't even cool. You watch them.
No.
Because it's Dean.
Dean!
Kirei. Kirei was Lancer's master the whole time. Can you believe it? I thought it was Twin Tails because I had seen screenshots of the drill-haired girl, the blonde one. And I was like, when did she show up? She showed up in the last episode. We get Saba's identity. I don't know what King Arthur's supposed to have done in real life, but apparently she fucked up Britain somehow. Then they explain all the shit about the Counterforce and Guardians, and I don't really get it, but I guess they're just mercs, like you said. Kirei killed Rin's father somehow, and Archer got hanged. That's how he got #blackpilled. And Archer thinks, this is one of my favorite parts, Archer thinks that if Shiro dies, he'll cease to exist, but he's not sure. And I like how everyone admits that they don't know if that'll work. They're just like, yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you instead just try to alter him rather than kill him?
How do you alter him?
Just remove him from a situation in which this could happen.
You can't, dude. He fucking rushes in his. He'll kill himself. He'll rush into anything. That's the whole point.
Beat the fuck out of him.
He does that. He keeps coming. He don't stop coming.
Put him on a cargo plane and ship him to
Shiro keeps coming and he don't stop coming. No, he will always. They pound this into your face so many fucking times. He'll never stop. He'll never stop saving.
If I was a lady, I wouldn't even. No wonder that
his limbs can be fucking gone.
No wonder that Rin never fucks this idiot. He's this. You can't. That's not a stable life. No girl wants.
Whoa! Stop the fucking presses, Angry Mage. You've never seen Gallo Sengen? Go! That's the Pop Team Epic guys. You know,
me.
Yeah, Babu Nemi me. What are they called?
Legends.
Cebu or something.
Oh, I was looking at it.
What, Gallo Sengen or?
Yeah. I was looking at it. Yeah, it's shit.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Oh god, it's gonna bother me to not know their name.
Need some more trail mix.
I'll find it.
This is a good this is the best trail mix I've ever had, by the way.
What's in it?
It's got craisins, raisins. It's got the regular, like the usuals, but the mixture is perfect. Like it's like the same, like the exact ratio you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty. It has the right amount of salt without being overly salty. I'm pretty happy with it. Oh. Angry Mage is an enigma to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not a weird dynamic that we just got one guy who watches. I'm still just looking for it's like CB.
Angry Mage.
AC Boo. They make good music videos. Watch I like the Chef Cooks Me music video. I like
Angry Mage, we'll talk to you if you want.
I like what was the guitar guy? You remember they had the flip pages? What was his name?
Dude.
Oh, I thought you might have remembered.
Hey, I appreciate that, Angry Mage. You got to take one for the team. The team being all of humanity.
You're the first of many. I'm sure of it. 10 years later. Old
Any
mage. Ancient mage.
I'll appreciate you spell Vegeta.
That's how it's spelled.
It's Vegeta.
Oh, you put an I in there. I can see why you'd think that. Yeah.
I know everything there is to know about Dragon Ball Osmosis. I haven't seen an episode of Dragon Ball Z since I was like 7.
All right, Dragon Ball Z test. Let's go. Pop quiz. Who's Majin Buu's master? No
idea.
Okay. All right. Great. Who? Name 2 of Goku's sons.
He's got Goten.
Yep.
And Gohan.
Damn. All right. Okay. Who's Vegeta's son?
Vegeta doesn't have a son.
No, that's wrong. His son is Trunks.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's like future Trunks who comes back in time.
Yeah.
Who's also a different character.
Yes.
If Goku and Vegeta fuse with the fusion dance, they become
Vegito.
And then if they use the earrings for Gogeta.
Yes, that's correct, I believe.
There's Gotenks, which is Trunks and Goten combined.
Yep.
Let's see. Goku.
Who is the Great Saiyaman?
Great Saiyaman is Gohan.
Okay. All right.
Again, never seen an episode.
Name 2 of the, I think, 3 guys that Piccolo fuses with.
Nope.
Yeah, no, neither can I. I can never remember all those green fellas. No offense. I'm not racist. It's just, they all kind of look, I'm going to say you know about half of Dragon Ball Z.
I can live with that.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, I think it's enough to know. It's probably not for me. I'll be all right.
Who's Frieza's brother?
Cooler.
All right. Oh, damn.
Boom.
Okay, all right. Not bad.
Let's go.
Kirei, let's see. Yes, Archer does that. What else did I want to talk about?
The names being like jokes helps a lot. Kakarot.
Oh, yeah.
Carrot.
Everybody's a vegetable or some
Vegeta
object, yeah.
Pantaloons.
Wait. I think you've been reading the wrong. I don't know if this is canon. Kirei is going to take Rin's heart out. He's been setting her up for 10 years or something to be a vessel or whatever. Everyone can be a vessel. I don't know. Oh, okay. This is confusing unless you read a whole lot of wiki like I did. So, this is one route. So it doesn't explain everything about the story, but all the routes are canon. They're all things that could have happened. So they're all like true. Right? Uh-huh. So, Rin and Sakura are sisters. And that's, has something to do with why she can be a vessel or something.
What?
Sakura was Ryder's real master, but in this route she hid that successfully, so we don't see that, But that's what Heaven's Feel is about.
Wait, wasn't Ryder like a real motherfucker?
What do you mean?
Wasn't Ryder like a real like piece of shit?
Yeah, that was a booby lady with the blindfold?
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't do much in this route. I mean,
okay.
In Heaven's Feel, she's like a main character. She lives with Shiro for a bit, and wow,
that's weird.
You don't see any Sakura in this route, but it turns out that her family is also fucked up, like Ilya's kinda, but her family is fucked up in that they implant her with those penis worms that we saw Gilgamesh standing around, and she's like a nympho. And that's why she has so much mana, because she keeps fucking. Except it's Shinji that's fucking her.
I keep fucking Sakura, and my enemies keep getting better. What the fuck, bro?
So I think that's what's going on.
That's crazy.
And also her and Rin are sisters.
Jesus, thinking about this is like
pretty wild. Because I was thinking like, Sakura disappeared. You know, as I was thinking like, is Riders, is that going to be Sakura? Sakura's got to have some kind of secret because she was so weird. But then she doesn't. It turns out she does, but in a different route. What was Goku's mom's name? Bertha? Martha? That's a Superman joke. I actually don't remember. Yeah. Who cares? She's dead.
Yeah, but wow. I mean, like, thinking about it, Clannad was the last thing that I watched where I was really tuned into the fact that it was like basically a dating game, a dating sim.
Mm-hmm.
And like it very much felt like any of the girls could have been the Roots, but then the second half of the show is committed specifically to one girl.
Right.
And that was some crazy shit at the time. Man, those games sound like a cunt to write.
Probably. Yeah, you got to draw a lot of.
No, actually, you just draw from all the tropes, and you don't really have to put any effort into it.
Well, more specifically, you draw a flow chart, a big flow chart.
I guess so.
So yeah, Sakura. Was there anything else I wanted to explain about Sakura? Yeah, I don't know. She loves to fuck, and she turns into like a monster in Heaven's Feel and kills everyone. Like she kills Gilgamesh, I think. Like instantly. So that's what we don't know. I don't know how Gilgamesh knows all this stuff. Maybe he figures it out in Fate Zero, but he knows how to take the heart out. He knows he needs to put the heart in the stomach of a dude. Fucking who knows? Lancer comes back like twice. He comes back and kills Kirei, and then again gets Shinji and does the poke thing, which I loved. Also, when Shiro's fighting here, whenever Shiro gets serious, he takes off his jacket. Like that's gonna help. Lancer does die for real. Yeah.
I did like Lancer.
He's a helpful fella.
I liked Lancer. Had a little line about like it's like, come back to me when you got a couple extra years on you, bitch.
Oh yeah, that's what I was wondering about Lancer. Like, did he just want to fug? Because he's just like
he might have wanted to.
He's
fug.
dying. He's just like, if only I could have gotten my dick out of this suit.
If only I could have put the dick in the pussy.
Why couldn't I put the dick in the pussy?
Why do they put the dick in the pussy?
I don't know. Fuck. What was I just gonna say? Lancer. Dead. Oh yeah, are there any servants that are bad? I mean, even Gilgamesh, not really wrong, just has a bad method of going about it, but
little extremist.
Yeah, he's an ancient king, so I can kind of get the sort of, he has a very limited
he thought he was a god
viewpoint.
There were not many perspectives,
and he's just like, human life has very little value without very, very clear and obvious purpose, and his scale is very small in his mind, and he's just king, and he's like, he's thinking like, there's a problem, you just fucking fix it, you don't care about masses of human casualties. So it's just like, okay,
throughout all of human history, people have thrown millions into the blender for their own.
He's just like, everyone's fat and gross and not doing anything. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna kill everybody with my sword, with my big blob boy.
People out here talking about Thanos like he's right. They don't even know what it's like to realize that Gilgamesh is right.
Yeah, Gilgamesh did it first. Know. Gilgamesh was going to go 100%. You're going to stop at 50, bitch?
Yeah. Perfectly balanced. I'll show you balance, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Archer dies. And then a good reveal that actually got me. Gilgamesh was the previous Archer from the last one.
Yes, when she says Archer, I'm like, oh, fuck.
He went from... In the Fate Zero, he's all Egyptian looking. I like how the music gets all Egyptian when he's around too, by the way. But now he's adopted the schoolboy look. And then he goes on a big explanation tirade about the Grail that everyone seems to think is bad, but that I don't really understand. Him and Kirei were the ones that almost got it in Holy Grail War number 4. So he explains that the Holy Grail War doesn't summon the Grail. It just fills it with souls, which have a lot of mana. But then I don't know why he's collecting the hearts then. Like, it doesn't happen automatically. What normally happens to fill it up? I don't know why he needs the heart. But Saba cut the Grail in half, which caused the whole thing to happen.
You know, you think that I thought they were going to go down a route where Shiro would have been salty with her for having caused it. I thought that was like definitely in a lesser show we would have gone down that path of him being upset with.
Yes.
With
and there's probably some throwaway lines in the VM where he's like, actually, I think that's fine. I know you're cool. But, you know, they only have so much time to work with here. They got to fill it with more talking about your ideals are false. Goku's mom's name is Jine.
Little on the nose there.
Jine. Oh, wait, why is she a kid? What the hell, Goku?
Well, it's not Goku's fault.
Why are you coming from a kid, you fucking weirdo?
Well, you pervert.
He must travel in time or something. Yeah, he comes from a little tomboy girl.
I've got the song queued to go out on if you don't have one already.
Thanks. Oh no. Well, get ready for that, everybody.
Okay.
So basically his whole explanation is that the Grail is bad, which I could have fucking told you that 21 episodes in.
So evil. Such an evil Grail.
And then, speaking of people leaving fights, he can kill there's just 2 humans there, but he leaves because the smoke from the fire, Lancer said, is hurting his lungy wungies. Ooh, my lungies hurt. Ooh. And just as I was thinking, man, Shinji's hilarious. Uh-oh. He's a big pink. Oh my god. I almost
all Shinji.
So much Shinji to love.
If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
I almost felt bad for Shinji. It's just pure suffering for several episodes where he's just this horrible body horror monster.
He's the ending of Akira.
Yeah, but he's still more conscious than that thing. Oh.
Yeah, I was like, girl, why you even? I mean, like, yeah, he's gotta no longer be like the vessel that this is being channeled through. But why you gotta save him though? But I guess he has suffered pretty hard for
yeah,
a
he
while.
gets some, and yeah. What has he done? Kind of like, what has he done that's bad so far? Really, besides, I guess he kind of teamed up with the evil guy,
and also threatened to rape Rin.
Oh yeah.
Had her tied up for a bit.
Okay, well,
over possession of her for sexual purposes.
He was really fucked up for a while there when he was that blob, and I'm sure this is expanded upon like a lot in the spin-off series Fate Stay Night: The Adventures of Shinji the Big Flesh Ball.
I was gonna
say, which is a 15-episode OVA.
I would love to see what the Shinji flesh blob line looks like if you go that route in the game. Like,
if you try to romance the flesh blob.
Yeah, if you pursue that seriously. And it's like, oh, you're a little handsy tonight because he's got like fucking 40 arms.
I require more mana. And the main conflict is this giant flesh ball draining Shiro of cum. It needs so much magic. I can't satisfy you, Shinji flesh ball. I can never satisfy you.
Just when I think when I finished all these holes, another one keeps popping
so many
up.
Blemishes to just spurt into.
Shinji's justified in everything he does.
I can't find any fault with that. Can you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, truly is the tragic figure in all of this.
No one said he was tragic. He just said he was right about everything.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
You know, it seems like that he's realizing the world is regressing to an earlier time where might is right, and he has the thing he wants, and he's got the power to take it. You know, Can't
I
judge
wouldn't
him.
exactly say he's a might makes right. He's the rattiest motherfucker.
I was going to a very extreme, trying to justify him trying to rape Rin.
He didn't try. He just said that they were gonna fuck. He never used the word rape. So he never
Well,
he never said force.
Somebody say, "I'm going to rape you."
That's a great Norm Macdonald joke. Is he goes, "This is so good. I'm just gonna say his joke. I don't care." He goes, "People always." I heard someone say to me, the worst thing about Bill Cosby is that he was a hypocrite. And I'm like, I don't think that's the worst part. I think the worst part was the raping. And by the way, I think that most rapists are hypocrites. I don't think people just go around just being like, yeah, I love rape. I don't give a fuck. PC culture may not like it, but I just like rape. I'm not afraid to say it.
True. It's true.
Anyways,
it's really good. It's a good observational bit of comedy there.
He's so fucking. Norm Macdonald has like the most dedicated fan base that's totally insane ever, and it's actually justified. He's the funniest person on the fucking planet. He just has one-off jokes that are like 8 minutes long that he'll just tell on Conan just to fuck with him because of how long it is. But there are some jokes that he's done like that where the length of the joke is the joke, but still the content of the joke I think is some of the best jokes ever written. His Professor of Logic joke is one of my favorite jokes ever. Highly recommended.
I will need to check it out.
It's so good.
Then again, here I am not realizing that Archer is Shiro, so I might not even get it.
Oh, you're too fucking dumb. Too big stupid brain and don't understand.
Hold on, let me go get a towel. I have to clean up my drool spot.
The face of a man who doesn't understand the Archer twist. It's just that old poster of the effects of masturbation. It's just the guy going from normal to being like a retard. This old-timey like 19th century drawing.
People who think this is green text. People who think Shinji isn't justified in everything he does. And just
Shinji haters.
But Shinji was gonna rape Rin.
Shinji haters detected. I've been singing that Beef Stroganoff song to myself, and every few minutes for the past couple of days, I've just been saying to myself, "The boys don't know this." They say the boys don't know that cooking beef stroganoff is easy.
Man, that was a weird exchange that happened on Twitter.
God damn, that was a fucking fever dream. It was already a bad day. Yeah, it was.
You can set it up.
For context, I tried to post the Symphogear Beef Stroganoff song.
How did you fuck up so bad?
And the only place it is on Dailymotion. So you'd think I would just like click on it, copy the URL, and post it to Twitter. But I'm a genuine guy. I watched the whole thing first, okay? Watched the whole thing. And then the video changed, but I thought it was an advertisement. So I go to the URL bar, copy it, post it to Twitter, don't think anything about it. And then 30 minutes later, you have this whole paragraph about how I don't think it's really that bad. I mean, these interviews, and I'm just going, what the fuck is he? Is this a really crazy, like, postmodern joke that he's making? And I checked the URL, and it's an interview with fucking Charlemagne the God and some fucking woman. And apparently you had watched this whole thing.
I watched it. I'm like, what's the objectionable content in this interview? It's like, okay, it's not the most compelling interview ever, but damn. Why you gotta come after Charlemagne? I'm digging deep. I'm looking for everything. It's a 3-minute interview.
Oh my god!
Because I'm like, where is it? I determined. I'm like, he must be upset with Charlemagne for like nodding and be like, during like complete nonsense. It was like being gaslit. It was so.
Now you know how I felt reading your tweets the other night.
This is true.
No. But yeah, I meant to post the Beef Stroganoff song. I was already fucked up that day because it was Labor Day. So obviously I like woke up at 8, went back to bed, and then I had 2 fucking hours of nightmares about being late to class. And just my entire eternity was having missed a class. And it wasn't just I missed one class. It was, oh God, I've been missing this class the entire semester.
I know the one. You show up and it's like, oh, I just forgot that I had this class.
It's
like, somehow
so
I
funny.
forgot that I was taking a French class.
Like, oh fuck, I haven't been doing any math. Because my brain knows I haven't been doing any math. But it also thinks that I should be doing math. So it's like, oh no, I've been waking up after math class is over for the past 6 months. Yeah.
Of course. And I dig. I've been there.
And it's just like, you'd think I would remember that the dream, whatever. Yeah. You think I'd recognize the dream. Episode 22, I'm not going through, I'm not just summarizing everything. Now I have highlighted things I want to talk about.
Sure.
So cutting the Grail in half was very bad and genocided like a whole city. Their plan is to smash it this time. And no one questions this. Okay, fine.
No rules.
Episode 22's intro is the best because it starts out and it's like, let's make dinner, brave shine, and that's the opening.
Man, I cannot believe they didn't fuck.
They almost do. Yeah, let's talk about the.
It's really upsetting. I'm really upset.
They're together for 2 years, and it still seems like they haven't fucked in the epilogue.
I was just.
They are so. It would be
cruel.
It's one thing to remove the explicit sex scenes, but they fucking. It's they have I'm out of mana. And
we have to get very physically close to each other. Just have them go too far and fade to black. Even if you don't want it to be, they fuck to exchange mana.
I don't understand that. Yeah, it's like they have to do a ritual, but it's not sex. But they do have to take their shirts off. Well, she says like, okay, undress. And I was like, oh, does she have to put the pendant in his butt? That'd be kind of funny.
Like why don't they just?
They had to take their shirts off so she could touch his chest with her index finger. And they couldn't even draw her with a regular bra on. She has like an old lady, whatever that's called.
Yeah, cowards.
Absolute cowards. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What kind of sexless world is this?
It's like, it's
2015 Japan. Like there's nobody's fucking. They don't even know what it would look like.
Yeah, is this Olympics preparation all the way back in 2015? Like, I don't understand the restraint. You cut a little girl's eyes out.
But you're more than willing to watch a girl excruciating detail for 3 minutes, begging to be reunited with her only friend that she's ever had. But you can't just have these two normal people fuck.
Not even, or just kiss. They could have been kissing.
Do something romantic. Yeah.
They drew her bed so fluffy. They're taunting us. Notice how fucking fluffy her bed is?
We cut
how
the
soft?
bullshit ass jellyfish.
Okay, well that's a decent compliment. Those whale mole things wriggling around had me fucking cackling. I got up at 6 a.m. and just didn't have anything to do, so I just watched 3 episodes of this, and I was loving it. I was drinking a not Four Loko, Jesus. I was drinking a Mango Loco Monster.
Do you have pulpy things?
There's very, very little pulp. The second one I drank, I didn't even notice the pulp. And also, it's guava pulp. It's not mango pulp. Pretty good. It's not zero. It is not diet. There is a lot of sugar in there. It's like 200 calories, but more caffeine, a little bit more caffeine than even the regular Monsters.
Someday I'll have Ultra Paradise again. Ultra Paradise was so good.
That's the orange one?
It's green.
Oh, I don't know if I've had the green.
Man, I can't believe I'm so salty.
Yeah, it's just like, why don't you just fucking, everything else is so wrapped up. Just have them fuck.
It's just like distracting.
It's distractingly restrained, yeah.
Yeah. At this point, like, we've already had Shiro confess to her numerous times and mentioned
the very first episode of this half.
It's him talking about how he's always had feelings for her, and like, it's just, it doesn't really make sense.
And
like,
he sees her watching him do do high jumps, which that's really the biggest mystery of this whole series is why was he doing high jumps that day? Just a bunch of them in a row. That was all I had to. That was my only. Oh, did your internet just cut out? Oh, he's gone, folks.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Just received a text message.
Uh-oh.
We're good.
He is still dense, though. She does want to fuck in this scene, but he's anime guy density.
Oh, God, Jesus.
I'm angry.
Yeah, I'm angry about anime.
There's so much good Rin in this episode. They got really all the anime.
She is.
Yes.
She's more than just your average tsundere.
She's old. She's a type A tsundere. She's old school. She starts off. She warms up to him, and gets all all nice.
They animate like her torso. They give her the sex eyes at one point. I'm watching the scene here.
They busted out all the dudes who know how to draw her legs perfectly, and I mean perfectly.
I was chubbed up. I was waiting. I'm like, do the fuck.
Please do the fuck.
No unlimited boner works. It is not.
Nice.
Very limited boners.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta move on.
I almost thought that Gilgamesh had like a cartoonish lake base, like a 70s cartoon villain. But it was just Shinji. That was Shinji. Episode 23 is like the least. It's like, it's not eventful, but I have no notes for it. My only thing that I thought was funny was that they thought Assassin would obey the rules and stay in the world. He doesn't. And Gilgamesh has a crazy sword. Assassin gets eliminated in that one. Then episode 24. There's a very funny moment where Shiro's like half dead, and he's like, Seiba, I got this. I can handle Gilgamesh. You go on. Yeah. He's fucking, his clothes are torn, and he's fucking bleeding everywhere.
To the
I'm sure Archer's just gonna fucking convince him. No way, dude. My man's crazy. Takes the jacket off. He does the UBW Nippon version. He says it in Japanese. And when all those flying swords saved Rin, I thought it was Kirei because I didn't recognize the voice. And my mind just went to Kirei because I thought he's the crafty motherfucker. He's gonna be alive somehow, right? And then Seiba does Excalibur, takes out the Grail, dissipates, goes bye-bye. Shiro basically beats Gilgamesh, and then he gets taken out by the way, that fight's the best easily. I was having so much fucking fun during that fight.
The Gilgamesh and Shiro fight in Unlimited Blade Works.
Yes, so fluid.
It's tight.
Oh, god damn. I can't believe it. There's not a single hitch. It's so smooth. It's so buttery fucking smooth all the way through.
Unlimited Budget Works is no joke. It's for real. It's about as good as television animation is this decade, period. Like I mean, because you can look at shows that look great, but they have like a style. This is anime. Like this is the straight up like anime done about as well as we'll probably see it done again on television for a long time.
Yeah.
And like, again, like they do go off model, but it's for the sake of fluidity at times, and I think it works great.
Yeah.
It's great. And just a bitch and fight, and Gilgamesh is kind of like not quite accepting that I might actually be outclassed here. And
Nani?
Delicious.
So Shiro's out of mana, and the cards are stacked against him. And then this part actually got me, where I was like, "What in the fuck?" It wasn't Kirei. It was Archer. He's back
somehow.
I think it's like supposed to be Guardian Archer, so it's not him summoned as a servant, but it's him as a guardian from the future. But it still doesn't explain how he remembers Rin. And I mean, he knew her. He was Shiro. I guess it sort of makes sense, but she's calling him Archer, and he's like,
maybe he had somehow escaped the final blow, and like because we only saw the little bit of.
No, his whole look changed. You didn't notice that that he had Shiro's hair? He was more Shiro-like. His eyes were a different color.
Okay.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, your internet's about to cut out.
No.
No, you're gone. Bye-bye.
We've been doing...
Bye-bye, internet. Bye-bye, Ethan internet. Yep. He'll be gone for about 20, 30 seconds. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know how Archer, knows. I don't know how he's Archer if he's just Guardian Shiro. Or maybe he's sort of assumed the identity of Archer at that point. Maybe he's accepted it. I don't know. I was afraid episode 25 was going to be 50 minutes like some of the other sneaky hour-long episodes in this show, but it wasn't. It takes place 2 years later. Ethan, you back yet? No? London. They moved to London. Yeah, that's when I really realized that Shiro is not going to pull out some plot bullshit to avoid becoming Archer. He's just like, that's going to happen. I can't avoid it. I accept it. Or I don't accept it, but it's seems like an inevitability. And my man's still cooking. He's kind of a fag, honestly. He's cooking. He's always cooking. He does a little spin as he exits the door here. He's a ladies, not a ladies man. I don't know how to. I already said fag. That's kind of a harsh. Oh no! Oh, there he is.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
All right.
I have future sight. I could tell when you're leaving.
I had the song that we're gonna go out on queued up, so I was just
your internet did cut out though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking about how they're in London and how Shiro accepts that he's probably going to become Archer, and then I like that.
Oh, okay. And so we're talking the epilogue.
My man's still cooking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of girly, honestly.
He got a little green cardigan going.
And they're going to this magic school. He's enrolled.
They're going to fucking Hogwarts and shit.
Yeah, as Rin's pupil, or assistant or something, and then we meet the drill-haired Ojo-sama, and she likes Shiro. She calls him Shero. And
I like that.
This is some good stuff. I expected her to be really haughty and stuck up, but she's great.
Yeah, she seems like a good time.
Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, you'd hit it. You give it a little go.
Yeah, she's not just Ojo-sama, just like I'm the greatest, whatever. Fun lady. Rin's, I think I most related to Rin because her primary emotion is disgust, and I just sort of feel it deeply. They do karate on each other, and at one point there is a suplex.
It's a good sequence.
Proud of you.
I like their skin tight outfits. That's good stuff.
Sure.
They got tickle bitties.
Very unsexy skin tight outfits.
It's more about the athletics than the actual sexiness.
Oh, you just like to imagine the smell.
Oh, imagine the smell. Oh.
Imagine the smell I've noticed is funniest when you put an E on the end of smell.
Oh, imagine the smell. Yeah.
Imagine the smell. Just like Le Bathtub Fish. I love Le Bathtub Fish so much. And imagine the smell. Because it makes you say it like smell.
It's good stuff. Yeah, that was my favorite meme for a while. I mean, it still gets me every time.
Imagine the smell.
It's always like you don't want to imagine the smell. But you know what? Someone's getting their rocks off to it, and that's fine.
Oh, I'm thinking. Yeah.
Think about that smell.
I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about them smells, them girl smells.
Why are you crying? Thinking of smell.
Yeah. think about smell. They visit King Arthur's grave. I knew that was coming. I saw screenshots of that. I've seen a photo of someone left a little Saba plushie at the real King Arthur's grave. That's a good sequence. Rin switched to tights. Not sure how I feel about it. She is the textbook ZR, Zetai Ryoki, whatever girl. I don't know.
She now has like a kitty mouth a lot more.
Yeah, like she's Dere. She's gone from Tsune to Dere.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
We've converted. Yeah. But they didn't fuck. Somehow in this 2-year span, they did not develop a sexual relationship.
They might have fucked.
But like, why can't we get like a little, like, if they're gonna have a relationship where he's the pupil in air quotes, maybe they can get a little bit of role play going on.
Well, maybe they fucked so much that now they've plateaued and now they're in sort of the normal stage of their relationship.
They're swinging now.
No,
the normal thing to do, like become a swinger.
They're not swinging.
Oh man, key parties. Can you imagine how good? Can you imagine how good the key parties would be if all of the masters brought their servants with them?
I guess. I mean, everyone in this world is just kind of hot. I don't know why they have to be servants.
There's like crazy sexual tension amongst every character in the show.
That's what all that banter is. Yeah.
Yeah, like we could just have we can have them lezzing out a little bit too. You know, a little bit.
I mean, you can download the VN right now. I mean, I bet it's on Steam. For God's sake, I bet it's you can just download it on Steam. Let's check right now. I got it open.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Fate. Fate Extra Link is in here. Oh well, Steam is fucking broken. Hold on. Fate Stay. No. Wow. Fate Extella. Yeah, there's no Fate Stay Night.
So Fate Stay Night, the original show.
The show.
Is that covering the same material?
That is the Fate route, which is Saba's route.
Really? Saba's significantly older than Jiro, it seems, or maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, you know, how do you, there's magic involved. How do you gauge that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Like, she's I mean, every historical figure turns out to be like 21 whenever they did the thing that they did, so who cares? Also, she's the girl. Who cares how old she is?
Can you, I'm just thinking about, I think I have a complaint with this show, which is that Shiro's swords are dumb. They're dumb. Have we talked about the swords at all?
Well, Saba's sword looks really dumb. It's like a dumb master sword. It looks even dumber than the Zelda sword. Shiro's swords are like, but his are okay because they're like left behind and they're embedded in the ground. And I like that. It makes sense that they look dumb because he's just using them willy nilly. He's just they're nothing to him.
The ones that he goes back.
Oh, the scimitars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are pretty dumb.
To me. Those are super dumb because they've got like this yin yang kind of thing going on, and then one of them's black and one of them's white, but the other side of them is like black and red, and it's just stupid. I think they look really dumb.
Yeah, the idea of dual wield scimitars is okay, but yeah, they look stupid. I think I started out Dark Souls 3 with dual scimitars. I'm a little biased, so.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the scimitar. It's not my preferred form of bladed weapon, but
it's like a tiny
totally
scimitar.
Acceptable. They're just dumb looking.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he gravitated towards them and used them constantly.
Because he saw Archer using them.
Yeah, but why would Archer do it?
Because he saw Archer doing them.
Oh, deep.
You didn't get this shit was a loop?
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that Archer and Shiro are the same guy?
Oh my god. So yeah, a lot of this episode is like him contemplating joining the mages or doing the other thing that's just his fate, and he does the fate thing. And then great cutaway to Shinji in the hospital, and Sakura is feeding him this apple, and just my favorite frame of the show is her angry eyebrows, her smiling, where she just eat the fucking apple, faggot. Just fucking it's so good. And he says Sakura's a tenacious girl, which is a little bit of hinting like, hey, watch the movies we're gonna make. You get more of her. A little.
We get girl back. We get the club friend back.
Oh yes, there's a flashback to their end of their second year, and archery girls there, and class prez is there. or student council pres is there. Excuse me. Fujine is there. Everybody's here, and then Shiro explains his goal to a guy in the wizard school, and he's like, "That's dumb," and
but I'm not gonna laugh about how dumb it is.
That's good attitude. And we get a little Archer epilogue, which is Shiro. He's starting down his path to becoming Chris Kyle and fucking sniping Arabs nonstop. Can't stop, won't stop.
We get some very nice moving clouds though, so that kind of takes the edge off the whole thing.
They're fucking good at clouds, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Do really fluffy like backlit clouds make you feel extremely nostalgic for some reason, or is that just me?
No, they're beautiful. They bring joy all the time.
But there's literally like a heavenly childhood nostalgia that it evokes for me.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Sure, definitely.
It's a very specific feeling. I don't know. I just feel like as a kid, whenever I turned on the TV, there would always just be clouds for some reason, just flying through clouds.
Well, I mean, my nostalgia typically isn't around the TV, but understandable.
Sure. Yeah, if I could brag about it.
How come is Dharma so dumb?
Who?
Archer's armor is dumb.
Yeah, it's not as dumb as Lancer's, but yeah, it looks kind of stupid. We forgot to bring Sam in. Should we bring Sam in now?
Yeah, we can get his thoughts on everything. He'll yell at us about the fucking MOBA gay.
Yeah. I just downloaded Fate Grand Order, and I'm gonna play it.
Him in. I'm gonna go pee again.
I'm gonna play it at work. No, okay, all right.
Get him in. He'll start a conversation. I'll come join midway.
Okay. I'm gonna wait for Ethan. I'm not gonna bring him in yet. I actually don't even know how to do that in Discord. I literally don't know how that works. DM? Is this a DM? Is that what this is? Who the fuck? How do I bring a dude into the close? Wait. Oh, invited? No. Excuse me. What garbage that was. 400. I brought up to Sam that I downloaded Fate Grand Order, and he said, God, that game sucks. I spent $1,300 on it. That's why we wanted to have Sam on the podcast. Because I was like, holy shit. Don't tell him I told you that. Apparently this is a common theme with people who've played this game. They spend a fuck ton of money on it and then hate it. I guess that's kind of every gacha. Ethan. Oh, he's already in here. That's why he can't come in. Is we can't like can I ring him? Ah. That's how it works. I didn't know that. I just figured it out right as you got here.
It's all right.
He's playing WoW. He's not. He doesn't want.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the WoW zone.
Everyone's playing WoW. God damn it! How many months is it gonna be? It was years. Imagine there were people who lost their friends for years because they were just playing WoW.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh,
hello.
Shit, he's here.
We're live, buddy. Careful.
Oh, I gotta move my fan. Oh. Here, do you want me to simulate it? I could just blow into my mic for you.
No, that's okay.
Oh, no,
I think we're good.
The mind's eye. You really crafted a beautiful image.
We already got our one fan.
Are you sure? I have a very you're one fan that downloads this podcast to scrape for RSS feeds.
Literally.
Hey man, he's here.
Yeah, we got our
right here, baby. The one fan of this podcast.
I am convinced that Angry Mage is like a YouTube like AI that's meant to convince us we have listeners so that we keep making content.
No, that's straight up what it is. I think it's an RSS scraper.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
He's got weirdly specific taste.
I would play Kirara Fantasia if there was an English translation. I mean, I think there's kind of a fan translation. I don't know. It seemed like a pain in the ass to install last time I looked it up. I'll wait till it's easier.
Fantasia?
Kirara Fantasia. That's the Kirara Time, the magazine. They have a gacha game with it has like Hidamari and Yuyushiki and Madoka, I think maybe is in there, and all the slice of lives, or all the cute girl shows. You should download that. You should spend how much money have you spent on Kirara Fantasia? It's got Gakko Gurashi. It's got.
Is that on the English App Store, or do I have to fucking download Coup app?
No, you have to do a bunch of crazy shit. It's got New Game. It's got Kinero Mosaic. It's got Yuru Camp.
I have to go through Coup app, don't I?
You probably, if you know what that is. I don't know what that is.
That's the Japanese install. I don't have an Android. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking murder this group I'm with in WoW.
Well,
it begins.
Don't turn on your fucking your allies.
They're guild, dude.
Yeah, you're guild for life.
It's one person in particular that is a real life friend that is legitimately having an autism moment, and I am gonna scream at the top of my lungs.
You're playing WoW. You're having an autism moment. Okay, tell me about Grandpa Sam. Tell me about Fate. Tell me about the old days. Okay, here's what we wanted to know.
Back in my day, we had one saber.
I sort of know what type moon is. Ethan doesn't know at all.
Type moon is the people who make Fate and Tsukihime and that one autumn witch of the winter, whatever.
I knew that. What is Garden of Sinners and what is Tsukihime?
Oh, Tsukihime is a vampire visual novel / anime about a character named Shiki who can see people's blood.
Wait, but there's also an anime called Shiki, but that's not the Tsukihime anime.
No, that's not Tsukihime.
Oh, Christ.
Tsukihime has a terrible anime adaptation that everyone begs
that does not exist.
Remade.
The Tsukihime anime does not exist. I'm familiar with that meme.
There's Carnival Phantasm.
Well, that's just a comedy.
That's just a parody of everything.
Oh, Fate has a slice of life cooking show about Emiya cooking.
Very good. It is so good.
Oh, dude, look up screenshots. Look how Emiya, the dinner for Emiya family.
What's the name of it?
I think it's called Dinner for the Emiya Family. Dinner with today's menu for the Emiya family. Look how pastel it is, dude.
This is like anything that fucking touches is literally like unlimited fucking budget works.
Yeah, it's still Ufotable, but with this art style.
Guys, I'm kind of interested in Carnival Phantasm a little bit.
Oh, Carnival Phantasm is good too.
Really good.
Yeah, people like that.
You kind of have to have no more
watch the opening right now, live. First time watching the Carnival Phantasm opening.
Okay.
Have you looked up the dinner one though?
Yeah. It looks great too.
Okay.
The Carnival Phantasm. It strikes me as a little older looking, and it's not.
That's 2011 or something. Yeah, that's before the Ufotable even started. That's Lurch.
I'm just looking at these characters that at one point were fighting each other in a blood sport.
But that one has characters from other series in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that has.
I'll watch it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What?
He's experiencing it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Those girls kill people. Hercules. Heracles is back there.
Have you seen like any of the other Fate Stay Night shit?
No.
No, this is the first thing we've experienced.
Why would you start him off with Unlimited Blade Works?
I started him off. I started myself off.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Where else would we start? Where we start with Fate Zero?
Novel. You need to watch.
We're not fucking playing a visual. No, fuck yourself. We're not playing a visual novel. I'm just really
absorbed in this opening right now. I'm pretty into it.
We will never read a visual novel.
Why not?
I will read here. I'm gonna read the sex scenes on Exentai right now. That's what I'll read. I'm not gonna read the rest of it.
Gilgamesh is bringing a bunch of swords down. This is great.
I remember watching the first episode of Carnival Phantasm when it aired and being so fucking confused. Just like I don't get any of these jokes.
I'm sold.
Yeah,
I'm sold on.
You guys will have to like read fucking 80 hours of.
I'll read the wiki.
Visual novels before you can even get an inkling of what's going on.
In what? In Carnival Phantasm?
Yeah.
No.
Why? What do I need to understand?
You really are gonna miss like 90% of the characters, or at least 50% from fucking Alucard and.
Is Alucard in Fate?
No, Alucard's from Tsukihime.
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna watch the Tsukihime anime. Yeah, if I were gonna experience Tsukihime, I'd play the fucking
really
VN.
Good for the Tsukihime anime.
Oh, that's great. That one was Ufotable, wasn't it? That's just like that's not that old. That's like 2010 or something.
What?
I thought the Tsukihime anime.
No, that's old. That's OG. Like,
what am I thinking of?
Getting angry at.
Oh, Garden of Sinners was recent.
Yes.
That's like a 2010 movie from Ufotable. That was like the first thing they did.
Does Heracles get to come to dinner?
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
I keep calling it by the English
Ilya.
title. Kyokai. Do
you guys like Kleinad, Iliad, Prism?
I've seen probably like I've said last week. I've probably seen every frame of that show despite never watching it.
Yeah, that every frame of that show gets posted to high
hell. Look at how cute they made Saber. Look at how cute she is.
It's great because in Fate you're like the characters are interacting. Spin-off? And you're like, damn, I wish I had a lot more of this character interaction stuff. And then they just keep making spin-offs where it's like, hey, here's fun times.
What about the spin-off that's like Lord...
Lord El Malloy?
Yeah.
We watched the first episode of that. Remember watching the first episode of that, Ethan?
There's a saber in that one.
Oh, there's a whole nother saber. Yeah, there's in the Heaven's Field route, there's like a Nega saber.
She has a scythe.
And then in Fate Extra, there's a Shaft Saber. Nero. And
then there's like Alter Saber, and then there's Jan Alter.
Jesus.
Angry Mage says that he's sorry that you're playing WoW and he's playing the much better Final Fantasy 14. You play Final Fantasy 14, no?
I do. I pay for 2 MMO subscriptions.
You're dual fisting. You're getting
double bupping.
Fingers and 2 pies. So Tsukihime and Kara no Kyokai, different series, same universe as Fate Stay Night, but basically unrelated except for like a couple of very minor characters, right?
Yeah, correct.
What else does Type Moon have?
Type Moon also has The Witch of the Autumn something. That was a very good visual novel.
They have Melty Blood, which is a fighting game, and also a VN.
Yes.
There's
Witch of the... Someone look up. I can't do this right now, but someone look up the. Other
Wait, they did
novel.
they did Zvezda?
Yes.
What the fuck? What did they write that? Because that's an anime original.
Yes.
Holy shit! That show had several moments of brilliance and was
The Witch of the Autumn. No, what is it called?
What, the Witch of the Autumn Room, or the Room of the April Witch? That's what it is.
Is that the one with the purple with the hair girl? God, I don't remember anything about that visual novel.
Melty Blood.
There's Tsukibako. Did you know there's a sequel to Fate Stay Night, Ethan?
Yes.
What?
And it's called Fate Hollow Ataraxia, and they haven't done anything with it, which is very funny.
You can play the visual novel.
Yeah, there's a visual novel. Apparently, it's just sort of it's mostly
really good.
It's mostly like not comic relief, but I guess it's mostly just like slice of life. And also it combines like all the roots, so it would be hard to adapt into anime, which is why they haven't done it.
I'm surprised you guys didn't watch what was that other one that was really popular?
Fate Zero was huge when it was airing. Yeah, that's probably where I would go next.
That's very good also.
Yeah. And yeah, I want to watch the fun spin-offs. I'm probably going to get on that cooking show, honestly. That looks so comfy.
Whatever you do, stay away from Grand Order.
There's a Grand Order OVA though.
Just watch that.
Great. And then
you don't need to play the game.
And what about Fate Apocrypha? That's the alternate series. That's the one that has the cross-dresser. What's his name? Astolfo.
Is it a dude cross-dressing as a lady or a lady?
Fucking course it is. No, it's the most famous trap in all of anime.
The pink-haired trap.
What's his name?
Astolfo. It's like, it's a real dude, but you'll search for Astolfo and it's just all the results.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty dude.
Right?
Yeah, he is really pretty. It's a good waifu. Or husbando.
I don't know if I would go that far, but he is good at pretending to be pretty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like the way that he's got the little...
No, I mean, okay, well, I'm going to stop you there.
Tooth.
So that's... That's got an anime. I don't know.
That's cheating. They just made a lady but apparently he's got a penis.
Welcome to... I mean, there's definitely... You can tell. They draw some... It's very lean. Low body fat.
What What are these traps? What,
do we need to explain what
I know what a trap is.
Ethan, I know you're
starting from
boomer,
square one. Yeah.
I know what a trap is.
You know, sometimes animators like drawing men as women, and they're really pretty.
Is Melty Blood on Steam?
No, but basically, what's that? Oh my God, there's a fighting game that's basically Melty Blood. That's out now. That's really popular.
Is it like Skullgirls or something?
No, it is not Skullgirls.
I don't know.
Thank you very much.
I don't know. I don't know anything about fighting games.
How far do I have to go to understand my fellow weebs?
You need to spend 10 years
down on this
watching
cock.
Anime. Yeah, you got to get on that cock.
I feel like if I go to an anime convention, I would not understand anybody around me at all.
I think that's
You've done that.
Have the most. I think that's why you would have the most fun.
We need to go to an anime convention again. I'm going to be in Austin in November. Is there an anime convention happening then?
Yeah, I'm sure they have a fucking anime convention every day here.
Sweet.
At Ethan's house. They have an anime convention every day.
I'm gonna. Yeah, well, I was thinking it would be fun to go to the one that we go to again soon.
Which one
back home?
Yeah.
If
Anime
you want
NYC or whatever.
Absolutely. No, it's upstate. It's an obscure one, but that's what you want because it's so shitty.
When is it?
It's usually around April.
All the people that are in the cosplay. That's good. I like that part.
Here, I'll send you a link.
Why do I need a link? I'm playing WoW. Just tell me what the fucking Anime Con is and when it is.
Oh God, what the fuck is it called? Wait, actually.
Attendee registration. Is it closed? Oh, it's closed for 2019. Okay, yeah, next year.
Yeah.
I've got it. I'll copy it.
I thought I knew what it was called, but this isn't it.
ToraCon.
Oh, right.
Boy.
I was thinking TaigaCon. That's a character.
At the Rochester Institute of Technology.
It's a good school.
No, it's not.
Where I live, there's a convention called TitanCon, which is the same thing, where a university puts on a convention.
Well, but you get to see Uncle Yo.
Oh my God! Is Uncle Yo going to be there this year?
This is the stuff from last year. Here's a panel.
Okay, the last time we were there, Uncle Yo wasn't there, and I was pissed because I couldn't heckle him.
Who is Uncle Yo?
Oh my God, dude!
He's the anime comedian.
Holy shit, he is the worst. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable even for an anime convention that someone could be this unfunny. But yeah, he's an anime. Is he even a comedian? He sort of does jokes, but he's more of just like a presenter that they bring out. It's so fucking weird.
Here's a panel. We got 20 years of Shaman King. Let's see.
How hard do you think they tried to get that one?
No, they don't get you. You can just make a panel. I could make a panel. We could make a panel. You want to do a panel, Sam?
Yeah, dude. Let's do a panel at ToraCon 2020.
I'll call the cops on us.
My goal has always been to get kicked off or to get banned from this campus from doing an anime panel. And I think my original plan was to do like a Toho panel and just pretend to know about Toho, but just make everything up.
I could get us kicked out of a panel pretty quickly.
I want to do it in a funny, like Sam Hyde way, not in a pull your dick out way, okay?
No, it would be funny. I'd just have a gamer moment.
No, you need to.
No, Mrs. Obama, get down.
There needs to be art to it. You can't just bust out with. You can't just bring the ends on a Martian.
Disney versus DreamWorks death battles.
Oh my God! Fucking hell.
Doki Doki goes dark.
Stop. Oh, that's just a Doki Doki Literature Club panel.
Food mascot death battles. Okay. Furries after dark.
All right. Well, thank you for.
Well, if all of you say furries after dark.
Fursuiting 101.
Dude, what is this con?
Hoseki no Kuni or other gay rock anime.
Let's go to Lolita Fashion 101 and just fucking take handcuffs and arrest everyone.
Wait, no, I would
lock them up.
first things first, I want to fuck one of the women that go to that.
This is a panel that's just called mentally ill and insane anime characters.
I want to film a YouTube video about how many 14-year-old girls can we pick up, but not actually fuck, just to see how many we could if we were predators.
And then you get their parents.
And then you call their parents, yeah.
Wait, can I sign myself up for the mentally ill and insane anime characters?
Damn it.
I fall under that.
I don't think you're supposed to use. I don't think those are the terms you're supposed to use for them now. Mentally ill and insane anime characters.
It's just a way to lock up fucking crazy people.
God damn, that's funny. Hey, you want to go see Nancy Silverclight?
Oh, I'll give her my Silverclight.
Is an Overwatch.
Can we trace her lineage back to Zion?
Uh-oh. I don't know if she would appreciate that. Recycling and cosplay.
I'm sorry, that's going to be terrible on a podcast, but you know.
Who wants to be a Hokage?
Me. I do. Steven Universe Q&A. Come and join your favorite space gems who have returned once again to answer all your... So it's people role-playing as Steven Universe characters.
Is that not just cosplay?
Well, they're role-playing also.
Well, aren't you playing a role when you cosplay?
The angriest I've ever been at an anime convention is when I went with Steven and he brought a really nice camera and he took a picture of this Tatsumaki cosplayer with her ass all the way out. And he never sent me the fucking pictures and then he lost them.
Sounds about right.
So I'm still fucking pissed.
Too much absinthe.
Ugh.
Why would you want a real woman's ass in a photo?
Look, man, I have moments of weakness, okay?
So yeah, we don't. I still don't know what half of anything is.
Is Fate Apocrypha good, Sam?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anime, or should I read the light novel?
You should read the light novel.
Oh, fuck off.
I've downloaded 40% of the update for Fate, whatever this mobile game is.
There you go.
Let's change this. Just download Girls Frontline.
No,
fuck
I can't.
off,
Sorry.
Sam.
But this one's got Marie Antoinette for whatever reason. She's a rider class, so that's dumb.
Hey, I got some Tatsumaki for you, says Angry Mage. I don't know what that
means. Garugamesh.
Garugamesh. What was he talking about? Which Garugamesh was he talking about? Was that a card game or something?
It's a Japanese rock band.
It's a J metal band.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bunch of makeup.
Wow. Learn something new every time.
J-Rock!
Sakura kon ikimasu!
That's where we should go.
It's classic.
It's still funny. I watched it like a week ago. It is still funny.
Great, yeah.
I've been trying to go to SakuraCon for years now.
I love sushi. I love anime, period.
I love Japan, period.
What is he talking about when he says Gaben?
And gaming.
Oh, it's gaming.
Yeah. Gaming.
I always heard it.
Yeah, me too.
I heard it as like Gaben, like
yeah.
Cool.
He's his fucking sinus. He's stuffed up. He's a nerd.
Nobody's ever put more stank on anything than the
Garugamesh.
Garugamesh.
Garugamesh. 12-year-old memes.
Man, it's still good.
Yeah.
I picked a song to go out on. It's appropriate.
It's true. Is there anything that we haven't said about Fate or mentioned about Fate, Sam?
Don't play Fate Grand Order.
Okay, well, I'm going to. So anything else?
Too late. 99%. There's no going back now.
Trust me. I can invite you to an account selling Discord if you want.
I should play See You Again. It's because that's the song that was going through my head when I was downloading Fate Grand Order.
It's been a long
day.
It's about,
I thought you were talking about the Star Trek fucking song.
No.
We haven't talked about, is this about family?
I'm going to say yes.
I think it's about family.
Yeah, I think it is. So,
what do you think? Is it about family?
What?
Is Fate's Unlimited Blade Works? Is it about family?
Yes, I would say so personally.
Okay. All right, we're in agreement. It's about family.
Hell yeah.
Check out my SakuraCon panel in 2020.
Oh, I should download the PS2 3D fighting game Fate Unlimited Codes.
Oh, I played that.
Hell yeah.
I had that on the PSP.
How about Fate Tiger Coliseum?
We'll net play it.
I don't think I could really say that I have that one.
I'm gonna skip this.
Okay.
Skip this cutscene.
How about
good podcast content.
How about Fate Elephant Skyscraper? What are you doing? What are you? Oh, you're playing the game. Yeah, no, it's gonna take a while for you to get to the
noise.
Yeah,
Did
no,
you
you're
guys
not gonna.
know that there's a Madoka phone game that is basically the same thing?
Oh yeah, they haven't got you. What's that one called again?
The gameplay is the same as Fate Grand Orders.
I don't want to look at it again.
I saw a GIF from that one, and they have a new character. She's sexy, Madoka.
Dude, there are a lot of sexy magical girls in that.
Magia Record.
Yes, I would much rather play that, in all honesty, than I would fucking Fate Grand Orders.
Does it have an English translation?
What the fuck? What is it?
On the App Store.
Oh. Fate Extella.
I'm gonna use quick.
There's so many multi-bloods. Wow. Oh, fantastic.
There she is. There's
Mahotsukai no Yoru. Oh, Witch on the Holy Night.
Yes, there we go. That is the one I was thinking of.
That's a visual novel. That doesn't have any adaptation. That's just a visual novel.
Yes.
Wow.
I can't.
That must suck.
Part where the enemy is attacking me.
How have they not milked this?
I got an extra attack out of Saba.
Congratulations. You won. Wow, their characters. Wow, their art's still like this in the VNs, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. Boy,
kind of like how the old key visual novels just look like total trash.
Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Hey, I don't want this in my ears, please, Ethan.
I'm sure you're one fan that's scraping for your RSS feed.
He's pissed. All right. Well, we've successfully chronicled.
You work for the FBI because we're trying to like create.
Hurry up and end it! I got papers.
Okay, he's got papers. All right. Well, we have chronicled all of the Fate, all of the Type Moon content we have to get to. Fate and Type Moon. I guess at this point we've decided that we're just doing all of Type Moon. I don't know. We'll do everything we can except for the visual novels. So yeah, we are Fate spurts though. We know everything there is to know.
Ask me anything.
Ask me anything about Fate. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Okay. All right. We're holding on.
All right.
Okay, we're queuing it up.
Okay. Ask me anything about Fate.
What is Saber's alter ego known as in the popular anime Fate Unlimited Blade Works?
The blonde waitresses take their trays, they spin around and they cross the floor. They got to move so
Fuck you.
You drop your drink, then they bring you more. All the school kids are sick of books.
Shit's hot. It's heavy, man. Oh, yeah.
Band. When the buzzer rings, well, they're walking like anything.
Oh, nice.
Got you. This shit's so sludgy.
What does sludgy mean?
You guys gotta shut up. I gotta take the show out.